in New York that was based on a footwear company of a direct-to-customer brand. And his colleagues describe him as a guy who is full of energy, enthusiasm, and an excellent team player. Davy is a multilingual guy. He speaks English, French, Italian, and Spanish. That's excellent. That's pretty nice. David, let me ask you the first question. Uh, you were in the e-commerce industry before. You were selling footwear before in New York in a company. What made you start a jewelry company? Why jewelry?
Yeah, so I had a first experience in the direct-to-consumer space in New York. I was selling sneakers. The brand was called Incas, and the brand still exists to this day. And following that experience, I really wanted to stay in the United States. And so I decided to build my first company in the US, which was a designing and manufacturing company. It was the US branch of a French group that was manufacturing for some of the biggest brands in Europe, like Louis Vuitton and Kenzo, etc. And so after a few years here, I really wanted to create my own venture in New York with Adam. And so we decided to put all of our experience from the online fashion world behind Ana Luisa. Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So how did you meet Adam?
We actually met in Shanghai in China while we were in business school. We were both doing a master in management, and that's where we met, and we stayed friends over the years.
Wonderful, wonderful. Adam, so you met David in Shanghai in a B school. Why is being carbon neutral so important for you?
Yeah, I think it actually came more from David's experience. We've been working together across fashion. So David as designer and manufacturer, and me as a marketer, mainly for a lot of direct-to-consumer brands. And beyond the personal aspect of climate change and protection of the environment, we were seeing the crazy share that online was taking over retail. And obviously the cost, the environmental cost associated to this. So we thought that if there were one thing that e-commerce could do since the get-go, was to be 100% carbon neutral. And why since the get-go is because it's way easier to do it if it's part of your DNA and your core, and when you create all the companies, the process, the manufacturing, and the sourcing. Rather than just becoming the next day carbon neutral just because you decide. So it was really at the core of the company, and we thought that with the share that e-commerce is taking, we're now at 30% for the jewelry industry, so 70% is still retail, but it's growing very quickly. It was just not a question and a must-do.
Excellent, excellent. David, is it expensive to be carbon neutral?
Is it expensive to be carbon neutral? First of all, it depends what you call being carbon neutral. Each company, there is not really a single norm across the industry. So in our case, we decided to do everything from the sourcing of our metals up to the end of life of the products. So we decided to include all of the steps of the manufacturing, the sourcing, the making, the shipping to the US, and even the shipping to the customers. We also included all of our energy expenses in our offices. So yeah, as a company grow, it can become pretty expensive, but in our opinion, it's like part of the mission of the brand. And what's interesting is that if you look at brands that are very established, like Pandora, they did commit a few weeks ago to becoming carbon neutral within 5 years. For us, it was something we wanted to do right away. So we didn't have 5 years to wait for these things, and so we decided to go much faster, and that's why we announced earlier this year that we were carbon neutral less than 2 years after being launched.
And I don't think we see it as a cost. It's part of the company, and it's like anything else. So we don't see it as a cost. That's something that is really like, we're not bleeding money out of it, in the sense that it's really our will and our decision and our very.
And for us, it's really the minimum that every company should be doing, especially in the fashion industry. It's a highly polluting. It's definitely a highly polluting industry, and jewelry is less known for it. But we try to use 100% recycled materials as much as possible in our packaging, in our products, and in everything we do. So it's just a value and a commitment from us since the beginning, and it's going to go much further in the future. Yeah.
Wonderful.